All right, we are live for the 27th episode of the
Let's Go podcast, and we have the one, the only, the pitching icon, Daniel Ash in the house. There's nothing more than Daniel Ash loves to talk about than his softball pitching dominance. He cannot wait to come on here and tell everyone how much he dominates the competition, and we're excited to hear Ash out on all of that.
I actually had a different experience than you, Avi. Everybody told me how much he dominates, and then when he told me that when he finally agreed to come on the podcast after ACHing several $100,000 to a bank account in Switzerland, he said he'll come on the podcast, but he won't talk about softball at all. He'll only talk about other things. You know, softball is like on his list of topics to talk about. Softball is like number, I don't know, 55 or something like that. So, Daniel, thanks for coming on, though. We feel very honored and privileged.
I'm just not sure you guys have the right guy. You said pitching icon. I'm not Steve Pollen. I'm not you to talk.
Well, actually, Steve Pollen is a legend. You're just an icon.
That's fair. Just whatever the stronger adjective is.
And Ash, you should know, right before we got on this podcast, we were talking to Steve and Glenn, along with a couple guys from the Jersey side of softball, about potentially doing a massive one-day best-of-3 series between the best of the five towns, HSL Monday Night League guys against the Jersey guys. And Steve wanted me to let you know that he elects you to be on the pitching squad in that best-of-3.
No, thank you. Let me know how that goes. Zero interest.
Ash, if Matt is in, are you in?
I'll say yes, because I can't think of a single thing Matt would rather do less than play softball, except like the times that he's already committed to playing softball for the next calendar year. He has a calendar in his house, like a physical calendar on the wall, not on a phone, like where he puts his dates in like 5 months in advance. If it's not on that calendar, he's not playing.
Wow, he's a very, very structured guy.
No, he's married.
So let's start at the beginning, Daniel. Where did you grow up?
So, well, I'll preface the whole podcast, I guess, with this. Do people care about that? Like, that was like when you guys were trying to talk me into doing this, which, I mean, you guys know I was a little shicker at the time. I agreed to come on here and on a flight, and you said a lot of nice things about me and to me. So you kind of sweet talked me into it, but I don't want to talk about something that your millions of global viewers worldwide are not going to be interested in. So I just want to make sure that this is something that whoever you've had on before does, that I'm not going to bore people with.
I might be wrong, but my sense is that there are certain people. So I haven't been around the softball stuff as long as you guys, but at least when doing the podcast and stuff, there are certain people that people are interested in the personality behind the player. Steve Pollen is definitely one of those. Certain other people.
What a boring guy Steve is. Is that true?
There are certain people are interested in the
Steve. I love Steve, just to be clear. He's one of my favorite humans. Go on.
Well, he's your sports daddy, I heard.
He's just my regular daddy. Steve's we're neighbors. We talk about everything. We golf. I love Steve.
Yeah, everybody does. So I think there's certain people are interested in the personality, the person behind it. I'm not exactly sure what drives that. I think for Steve, he's such an intense competitor that people kind of want to know. They see him on the field. All he wants to do is win. He's passionate about it. He's not embarrassed about it. He wants to show up. He shows up half an hour early. He signs up for every league. People are curious about the person behind it. For you, there's a whole different enigma. I called you enigmatic because you're this guy who seems to really sort of want to win in some ways, but in other ways, Avi was telling me you show up for a game 5 minutes before, chewing gums. What?
If lucky.
If lucky, he shows up 5 minutes before a game. So I think people are intrigued, and the skill set is very high. Avi Nenner told me you're having a season for the ages in the Monday Night League. So I think people are intrigued by the personality behind the talent and also this sort of apparently lackadaisical attitude.
That's a good word.
We need to start at the beginning. So I think we need to start at the beginning.
That's a good word. Well, first of all, just to clarify, you just said smoking. I don't smoke. I think you're thinking of Ellie Race. An enigmatic, when you use the word, I just like yelled out to my wife. I'm like, people think I'm enigmatic. I had to Google it. I didn't know what the word meant. I'm an attorney. I like
What
do
did your
this
wife?
for a living.
What did your wife think though?
I don't remember if she knew what the word was. I don't think she really cared. Um, and once I Googled it, I'm like, enigmatic. That's me. Uh,
Wait, but
I
did your wife agree? Because she would be the best situated to know.
I don't think so. My wife doesn't take too much of an interest in my softball. I think she's watched maybe like 10 minutes total, like lifetime in the 10 years I've known her. Sorry, what was the question?
Do you feel like your wife's lack of interest in softball has held you back? I'm just kidding.
No, it's only motivated me more.
It's only motivated you more.
She doesn't like I'm out playing hockey, golfing, softball, tennis on any random night. She doesn't know what I'm coming back from. I could be in Ronkonkoma, like doing literally anything, and she would have no idea, just as long as I'm like home that night and up with the kids the next morning.
So you're saying there's so much sports going on that it's hard for her to keep track of what it is.
There's just so much life going on. It's just I'm out having a good time. That's what sports. I mean, this might be a short way of answering your question. That's what sports is to me.
Having a good time. So I think that's one of the central questions that people have about the enigmatic Daniel Ash is that you win a lot of games but act like you don't care. So you were telling me that it's just about having a good time, but some people have trouble believing that.
I'll put it this way: I don't not care. Are you drinking? Can I drink? Is that a
Yeah, sure. Any podcast after dark, we drink. We got that started with the Itzkowitz one was actually
sponsor me?
Steve, I was gonna say podcast after dark. Jan Gitzkowitz is drinking at 9 in the morning.
This is what was in my system when I agreed to come on here, so I thought it was fitting.
There was some divine intervention about when I texted you about the podcast, I guess.
It happened to have been perfect timing. I don't think, no, I just don't think I would have come on without being a little banged up. And again, you flattered me, and people, like, no offense, again, I haven't listened to any of these before. I don't exactly know what this is, but people let me know when bad things are said about me or mean things, like, all the time. Like,
so
Steve
what were the bad things that were said? What were the bad things that came back to you?
I don't really remember. I think it's just what you said, like, oh, people are like, you don't care, whatever. I'm like, okay, like, that's fine. I don't. Steve texted. I got a bunch of people texted me whenever you sent out whatever you sent out about me being on. Steve texted me in seconds. Like, I think before I even said yes officially, Steve was like, "Wow, can't believe you agreed to this." So I don't not care. I just don't care as much as other people, and also objectively, like between caring and not caring, yeah, I want to win, but I mean, there's probably a deeper answer going back to my childhood if we want to get real intense about it.
Let's do it, baby.
No, I was just most of us are. I was a very competitive kid, borderline anger issues. So, when things didn't go my way, sports in particular, I'd freak out, which is not uncommon. And over the years, it's kind of just been like a natural mellowing out, and not just sports. I think in everything in life, life is too short to care too much about things, like just not being as serious. And I think she's upstairs and can hear me. She won't like that I said this, but I've tried, like, my wife is not like that, and I've tried to get her to be more like that over the years. So I think she got herself a book. Hope she can't hear me. Called The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F Word. There you go. Great.
I've seen that book. I never read it.
Popular literature, I guess. So, like, I probably should care more about things. Like, I care about, like, making sure my children stay alive and paying my mortgage and my job, but especially things like sports. Like, what are you doing if not just trying to have a good time? So inherently, yes, I don't care as much, because win or lose, like, my life stays the same. When I'm on the field, I want to win, but because there's that foundation of, it's not that serious, it's just sports, I'm here to have a good time with the boys, I don't care as much, and it hasn't always been that way. Even in softball, I can remember one instance in particular against Steve's team. I'm sure he remembers it very well. We won 1-0. It was a great game. I pitched great. Steve pitched fantastic, and an unnamed player on their team who no longer lives in the area, doesn't play for them anymore, but everyone, I'm sure, who knows the story knows who it is. Like, whatever, he was chirping at me the whole game, which I didn't really care. But, like, it was annoying. Like he was making noises while I was releasing the ball, whatever. So when we won, I like spiked the ball, turned to them, and yelled "F you." What did I yell? It might have been as simple as "F you." I don't know. And then in the handshake line, they
Simple
were.
F you goes a long way when
It
necessary.
really does. It really does with the right delivery and cadence. So he wasn't happy. In the handshake line, like I'm pretty at this point for sure. And even then, like this is like 8 years ago. I'm friends with like all the guys on the team. They weren't happy. I don't know if it's because of that. Probably not. But it's very different now. I don't really show much emotion because it's not going to change anything. What happened happened. There's no use getting mad at a player. I'm mad at myself.
So I have a question for you. You cared so much when you were younger. It got you into some trouble. How did you step back? Two questions, actually. How did you step back from caring? And number two, which might be related, how do you win games against hotly competitive players, who one of whom we're going to have on in a few minutes, who...
I thought you said Feintuch's joining. Nice.
Got him. How do you win games against people who, the game's on Sunday, the Monday night before, they're already setting the lineup for that game?
Twofold. Sorry, I'm a lawyer. I'll be really technical about this. And whenever I say things like this, I try to preface by saying God gave me talents. So if I say something that just sounds like elitist or like pompous, I don't intend it to be. I'm good. So I know that regardless of my mindset, I'm going to pitch well. And your only enemy is yourself, really. Like, I think I'm good enough to beat anyone. The only person beating me is myself. So that's the first answer, is no matter how much you prepare, like, I'm myself. So I just trust in my talent, my God-given talent. And then second, and I realized this a few years ago, was actually the year we won our first night league championship, 2018, 2019, I don't remember the year. When that was really when I started to like care less and stop playing like Sunday mornings and, really only Monday nights, whatever. I pitch better. It's when you put too much, pressure on yourself. People are different. Some people are probably like really driven to perform better when they put all this pressure on themselves. When you take the pressure off, like, you're not going to beat yourself. And specifically for pitching, like, I'm not walking guys. I'm not going to overthink. You just get all riled up in your head because you care too much. So you put that pressure on. So like, if I'm in a bases loaded jam and I'm freaking out, I might walk the guy on 4 pitches if I care too much. But if there's just not a thought in my head, because I know, an hour from now, win or lose, I'm going to be in bed, pop an Ambien and go to sleep, then it takes the pressure off and I actually play better. So I think it's an advantage not caring as much.
On that point, actually, it's interesting you say that. Me as a pitcher, at least in the Monday Night League, pitching for, the guests are about to come on, Moish Feintuch's team. The first year in the league, we didn't make the playoffs. The second year, we won the championship. Last year, we didn't make the playoffs. Now we're about to face Ash in the championship. The one common thing for me is every single time I faced off against Ash's team against the Unknowns, I got obliterated on the mound. Obliterated. 8 runs, 12 runs, 10 runs. So the last game of the regular season, I think you guys are missing Nenner, but you had your full team aside for him, if I'm not mistaken. I basically told my team beforehand, I said, because I'm like the opposite. I get very intense. I get very in my own head. I get very like locked in on the game, very stressed out easily. I told my team I'm just going to go in there and pitch like I have no care in the world. Zero care in the world. I was joking around. It was a 1-0 game. I don't know if you remember it. The last game of the season. And joking around the whole time. My teammates guy made an error. I'm like, oh, come on, what are you doing? As like a joke. And we won 1-0. I was like, it could be had something to do with comedian, but to Ash's point, like, I got drilled by them, and you're laughing. I don't know why you're laughing.
It was the second game of a doubleheader, and we had clinched the 1 seed. I just remember the game because you said 1-0.
Oh, okay. So I guess it wasn't a real win. But you had your full team.
No, not real win. I'm just saying, like, I'm like 1-0. Wow, like we got shut out.
Right, and you were missing Nenner. I think you also might have been missing your third baseman. What's the name? Hits bombs down left.
Yeah, because we clinched the 1 seed. Yeah, and we had played a double the game right before, so I told them they could leave. So I apologize. I don't remember like the specifics of that game. If you shut us out, that's still like it's still the same team. Like we're still trying to win.
Yeah,
that's good. So I feel like even though I wasn't responsible,
I just found it funny because I was so in my own head, and every single time I pitched against you guys, I failed 8 runs, 10 runs, 12 runs. And like the one time I went in like just totally loosey goosey, like I didn't give a care in the world. We won 1-0. Anyways, apparently that 1-0 win wasn't a win. So there goes my happiness.
I didn't say that. It was just you said 1-0. I was like, when did we lose 1-0? Like, that's so sad for us. It doesn't matter who's pitching. Like I don't want to get shut out. And then I remember like, oh yeah, like that was the last game of the season.
Right.
But that's good for you. So I think for the championship next week, it's very important, and there's a lot riding on this, and you should be very, very just uptight and intense.
Looking for our second championship in 3 years.
We gotta wait for Mr. Moish Feintuch to show up to talk.
Oh, is that on it? I have one more point. Dan, I have a question for you. So you were saying a lot of Mo's here. Okay. Dan, you got
All
saved
right,
by the bell.
let me introduce our
Moish!
Let me introduce our next guest, and then Avi will give background maybe about the upcoming championship game next Monday night. We have here Moish Feintuch. I used to know him as Mo.
His family chirping in the background.
I used to know him as Mo. I used to know him as Mo Feintuch. Since kindling my relationship with Daniel Ash, I've discovered that you're Moish Feintuch, and you had a very big victory last night, and are facing what's the name of Daniel's team on Monday night?
I'm known as Kosher Pizza since 1959.
On Monday night. And Mo, welcome to the podcast. We're lucky to have you here. You're supposed to say something now, Mo.
Does he hear us?
Mo, can you hear us?
He can't hear us. Mo? Is he in? Does he realize he's in?
I don't know. Maybe not. I'll text him.
He's such a pretty face, though. I wouldn't mind just looking at him.
Same.
You know, we actually brought him in just for eye candy.
Oh, no.
You know,
Mo, you're on. Do you hear us?
he's probably on mute.
Hello?
Yeah, Mo, you see us?
One
You hear us?
second. Hi, Avi.
Yeah, 1 second.
Why
Mo,
can't I don't see or hear you. Okay. Why am I not seeing you guys?
This is good
Okay,
content.
one
This
second.
is premium content.
Just
Well, Daniel, we really brought him on, like you said, just as eye candy.
He's a foil. He's an antagonist.
Well,
He's the perfect. He's actually the perfect guy to bring on, because I just have a good time with Moish. Moish is the perfect. No, I say that deliberately. Like Moish is the perfect. Like he's the exact opposite of me as like an athlete in any sport.
He cares a tremendous amount.
Cares a bit too much.
Okay. I'm here.
All right, Moish, you missed my whole introduction of you. I used to know you as Mo Feintuch. I now know you as Moish Feintuch. But welcome to the podcast.
Happy to be here. I heard Ash say something about being the opposite of him in all sports. Is that what he said?
Yeah, so we're having
I suck, and you're
Wow.
so good.
I'm not that good. No, I'm not that good. I'm not that good.
A lot of people were interested in hearing from Daniel, and when you watch the podcast after it, hopefully you'll see that, a lot of the reason people find him interesting is that he wins a lot, he's very talented, but he sort of has this posture that he doesn't care so much. And we were talking to him about how he kind of balances those two aspects of his personality. So he was saying that you are the opposite of that. Like Michael Scott in The Office, you care too much, you try too hard, and you something or other. So
if I may, and again, as an attorney, I would object if this was a deposition to the characterization of what you just said. He doesn't care too much. And if I said too much, strike it from the record. He just cares a lot, and everyone has their approach that works for them, and he's a fantastic athlete, so it works for him. If it works for him, it works for him. That's just not my approach. But yes, everything else, accurate.
I'll take it.
You're starting off on the back foot right away. Daniel's coming at you. You got the championship next Monday. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I mean, I'll elaborate on caring too much. I feel like every athlete has like their thing that gets them performing at their best. So for me, it's always really about like I only like watching really football, like professional sports football, because I just find maybe hockey as well. I don't watch hockey, but maybe hockey's like this as well, where if you really want to perform at the highest level, there has to be something other than the game going on. Like I like trying to find an inner motivation. Like we just played the Lobos, and during the year, there was a game that got a little chippy, and then even after they beat us in the second game of the series, it's just the way they celebrated. So all the little things, if you really want to like get to the next level.
What I was trying to say is after game 2, the Lobos were hopping around like they won the championships to send it to game 3. So after winning game 3, it felt a little good to give a little oomph after.
Yeah, but also what I'm trying to say is that if you really want to, everyone has to find what is going to make them perform the best. And for me, at least, it's like having not a personal situation. I mean, sometimes it's gone too far. Ash is very good at sort of evening out. Like when I do go at him a little bit to motivate myself, he doesn't really fall for it too much. So that's why I haven't hit him too well this year. But usually there's like a little, like something in my head, like a little going on when I come to the plate. Why? At least when it matters, like in the playoffs. Like always in the regular season, I don't pull it out too much, but when it matters most, I try to.
Mo has a nickname, Playoff Mo. So, Ash, you better be ready for Monday night because Playoff Mo is coming for you.
Man, I just pissed myself a little. Let me just say one thing about Mo to be complimentary. I don't want this to be misconstrued as negative. I'm going to call him Moish. I coached against him. I coached in DRS, so he played for Darche. I coached against him, and then I recruited him onto my team. I don't know if it was he went to Israel for a year, so whenever he came back from Israel, I've never done that. I'm not like a creepy guy that stands by parks and recruits little kids for their softball team. So like clearly
I
was
people like that in our league. That's a good call.
Well, won't name names. So I clearly like it wasn't just the talent for me. I say this to him all the time. He has like a very genuine simchas hachayim. I love it. Give me the smile. Like there's just like a happy guy. And he was like the perfect guy to play for my team. Like my team is my boys. Like when I go out to play Monday night, I don't think of it as like I'm playing softball, I want to win. I think of it as like I'm going to go spend an hour and a half with the boys, and winning feels better than losing. So yeah, objectively, yes or no, I'd like to win. So I thought Mo was the perfect fit for my team for that reason, because he played that softball nicely. And he's just like a happy, fun guy. He wears tzitzis after shkia, which is fantastic. Like, I just want to be very clear. He like puts it on. Like after games, he will put it back on. Ask any Rav in any circles. That is not required at all. So there's a lot to like about Moish, and nothing but respect. It's a different attitude. And yes, like he screams and tries to bother me, and it just makes me smile and laugh.
It's just I'm laughing because I'm happy you reminded me. I didn't realize that the first time we really met was when you were coaching DRS like that. I sort of thought we met. I was trying to remember how I got on the Omnons, like just because I knew I was coming on here tonight. And first of all, it was a lot of fun. Only good things to say about the Omnons. They're a good squad and a lot of fun. But yeah, those were I think in high school I don't even know if I might have been better than I am now. I mean not actually, but like just sort of physically at least. Just because I had a lot more time. But when I joined the Omnons, it was like kind of like my first time being on like a really good team. Everyone usually when you're playing growing up, you're not, you have some good players here and there, but it's not like everyone's really really good. And then we won the I left to Israel before the championships, but the year that you guys won, I don't know if you remember, we were playing against Jared. Do you remember this at all? So anyway, Jared threatened to take it to the parking lot after the game with a baseball bat. If you recall, you guys were down by a couple runs, and then they were considering whether or not to pitch to me, and then they ended up pitching to me. And then I told Jared after I ran the bases, I'm like, "Don't pitch to me."
I love Jared. I was just texting him yesterday.
I miss him, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then, did we lose Avi? By the way, like, is he meant to be gone?
He's not even this year. He'll come back.
Okay, because I I feel like I kind of
Dave,
like
do you know-
need to
Dave,
feed
do
off
you know
his
who
energy a little
Jared
bit.
is?
He's always got something to say. But yeah, so that was like that, and then we went from the first year in the league we were the Bitcoin boomers. I guess I thought Bitcoin was cool, and then I became the Omnons.
It's still cool. It's still cool, Mo.
Yeah, it's still cool. Then I joined the Omnons, I think. Then we went to Melee Machines because I named our team after a bat. And then I realized the bat was actually illegal in the league, so I don't use the bat anymore. And
Forget that it was a really stupid name. It was just illegal, so that's where Mo draws the line.
then we became what we are today, which is represent a very strong company of, strong company, and that's how the team's performing. Like our jersey name. So that's how I'm feeling right
Mo's
now.
Sports Trading Co. Shout out to Mo's Sports.
Repping the cap, of course. Repping the cap.
I'll say one more nice thing about Mo because I don't think he remembers. Once I say it, maybe he will. He's called me one time in his life, and it was after he lost in the championship senior year. When I coached DRS, we lost in the semis to a team from Deal. I think we lost 1-0. Benny Miller pitched fantastic. Yes, okay, that's what happened. And then the next week, so their coach takes softball like way too seriously, and he like called me to ask for a scouting report on Mo's team. And I was just like, look, I mean, they're decent, they're fine. It's really just Moish Feintuch is probably like the best player in the league. Just watch out for him. I think they intentionally walked him. He called me after the game, yelling at me like we lost. They walked me, like intentionally walked me like every at bat. What'd you tell him? I'm like, I didn't tell him to walk.
It's funny. I'll tell you why it's funny because me and Mo were very close from camp. We were in camp together. I brought Mo up through the system in the camp room softball team where he was a home runner pop up guy and had a complete. We almost had a complete end of our relationship when he didn't make the cut for the Romo team that first year, and then only got better from there. But anyways, so me and Mo were very close. So Mo was always sending me all his highlights and videos from all his different sports, whether it's football or softball. So he sent me that game against Hillel Yeshiva, the championship game. And I was actually, if we're going to be very open and honest here, I was actually taking a bath, and I was watching the game. And in the first inning, I think, or second inning, I saw that they intentionally walked Mo Feintuch with like a runner on first and 2 outs maybe, or like it wasn't like even it wasn't called. I'm like, how did they know to walk? Like, why they randomly walked the guys run on first 2 outs? Now I finally have the source.
Him and Rabbi Glazer. Rabbi Glazer's the other. It was a combined effort, I'm told.
Hey. No bad mouthing Rabbi Glazer on this. Avi, how do you like your bath? You're talking bubbles,
I love baths. Oh my
scented
gosh.
candles. Yeah, hell yeah.
I live for baths. That bath is my therapy away from therapy. They call it. It's
good for you.
Amazing.
So Mo and Daniel have a long history together, and there's verbal, there's sparring. Daniel's throwing some compliments, Mo's throwing some compliments, but you guys have a big game coming up, and there's a lot of competition. Daniel maybe doesn't care, maybe does care. Mo is wearing his emotions on his sleeve, definitely cares. So what do you guys think about the upcoming championship? It's a best of 3, right?
I'll let you take the floor first, Daniel.
I was going to be nice and offer to you. This is why when you texted today and I asked, like, do you mind if Mo comes on for, 15, 20 minutes to discuss the championship? I'm like, discuss the championship for 15? What are we talking about for 15 minutes? There's no, if you're looking for analysis from me, I don't really have any. I don't like pitch players a certain way, except for Adam Hoffman. Probably the one and only player I pitch a certain way.
How do you pitch Adam?
I will not tell you. You can ask Izzo's wearing.
How does he do against you? Because I know he knows. He has everything charted out very carefully.
So that's another thing about me. People will tell me stats, and I swear this is true. This happened 2 weeks ago. My catcher Izzo came over to me and he's like, dude, bump me down. I'm not hitting well. I'm like, are you? He's like, yeah, I haven't gotten on base the last few games. I'm like, the last year, you were so good, I moved you leadoff. He goes, have you not been paying attention? I'm like, I guess not. And he's like, Benji's been fantastic. I'm like, but he's hitting 9. He's like, yeah, bump him. He's now hitting 2, Benji Horowitz. I don't pay attention, not in a mean way. The guys on my own team, I don't do stats. It's all a feel and a vibe. If I think a guy's hitting good, for myself, definitely, if I don't think I'm hitting well. So, I couldn't tell you what Adam's stats against me are. I'm sure they're great because Adam's great. But I don't. There's really no player that I'm scared of, or that I think is going to get hit
Okay,
against
so
me.
is
It's
there
really
anybody,
like,
is there anybody on Moe's Sports? If there's one, I'll put it to you this way: Moe's Sports. It's Game 3 of the upcoming championship. It's the 7th inning. There are 2 men on. You're up by 1. Who do you not want to see in the batter's box?
I gotta be honest, I don't really know his team. Like, I know him by face, and that's what I mean by a feel thing. Like, I don't have approaches except for like Koenig, because Koenig always bloops at the right center. Like, there are certain guys I know, like David Bloom's going to go up the middle. I'll put a fifth infielder in. But most of the time, it's like I don't really know. I can't tell you the amount of times I've been approached.
Okay, who would you rather see, Edelman or Feintuch in the batter's box?
I don't know, Edelman. How do you hit against me? I don't know. I'm being honest. Like, people will come up to me all the time, Mets games, weddings, like, "Hey man, what's going on?" I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't recognize you. Like, do we play softball together? Because when someone's pitching, you know them because you see them the whole game. If someone's in the batter's box against me, I'm not going to remember them unless I know them personally. So, like, during the game, like Aaron Ehrlich, great example. A few weeks ago, I know Aaron. I coached him also in DRS, and he had a few well hit balls against me. So he came up for a third time. I'm like, I'm going to throw him nothing but junk on off speed stuff, and it worked. But I don't have like approaches, so there's really no one that I can even like think of on his team other than him and Edelman. But if I saw them by face, I'd be like, oh yeah, like this guy hits me pretty decent.
You always chirp Rudansky.
Rudansky's not a real person. He's a construct.
How so? How is Rudansky a construct?
He's just a fun person. I really have no way to describe that other than what I've said. I don't mean any of that in a mean way. It's just like I don't like pay too much attention to stats. So if I have a feel, good or bad, about a player, that'll dictate what I do. I know Mo is good, right? So I'm not going to lob the ball over to him. And if there's a certain guy on his team, he has great players on his team, 1 through 10. Not like the fact that I don't know their names doesn't, mean they're not good. But if I like have a feeling or like he's hit against me well that game, like Aaron has, or Aaron did in that game, then I'll pitch them differently.
All right, Mo, what do you have to say about the upcoming championship?
Yeah, so I think that my team surprises the league and me as well. How, I'm trying to figure out as well. We somehow during the regular season tend to not show up some weeks, and other weeks like are mediocre. But then when it comes playoff time, we seem to just really tighten up. I mean, 2 years ago we had a crazy run where we like finished in last. I think we had like 3 or 4 wins. Ended up like winning the championship. And then last year I got a little too confident, and after we won the championship, I kind of like, we had some players leaving, and I was just like, I didn't put a lot of thought into who exactly I added. When it comes to this league, there are great players, but if you don't put the right pieces into the team,
doesn't bode well for Monday night.
You really don't stand a chance. So
I mean, it runs a Fortune 500 company. You think his Wi-Fi would be a little stronger?
Oh no! Is my Wi-Fi out?
That's pretty funny.
1 second.
So it speaks to the point, though, that
1 second.
he has a lot of thoughts, a lot of feeling, and a lot of analysis about the game, and you're kind of like, I'm just going to show up and take it as it is.
Are we back?
I don't set lineups before. I make sure I have 10 guys that are going to show up at the field.
No.
Again, for me, it's just it's a championship. Like, yes, I want to win. I have a nice trophy case over there. It'll be a nice addition.
So you save the trophies.
I'm back.
I save the trophies. I'm not going to throw away trophies. My son likes them. I'll like let him keep some in his room. But like, it's like if I lose, it'll bother me for a few minutes because I'd like to win and not lose. But I'm not going to like lose sleep over it. It's not going to change anything for me. I'm there to a doubleheader, so it's 3 hours with the boys. Like why do we? Some people play to win. I play to have a good time. That's what sports is for me, not just softball. So, I mean, there's no reason to get worked up and then not enjoy it.
So, Mo, what were you saying? Oh, I think we lost.
So basically, I was sorry about that.
When you see a guy like Steve Pollen, who you obviously have a very close relationship with, you said you golf with him, and he's unabashedly all about winning. He's unabashedly all about winning, and in fact, when we did the podcast, he said something very interesting to me, which I thought was very illuminating. He said when he coaches kids basketball, he says you get to the championship, and he said some parents will say he cares too much about the game. And he said he tells them there are trophies sitting on a table over there. One team is going home with them. am I supposed to pretend that that's not happening? And I thought that was very interesting. And I think it speaks to not just his competitive nature, but a lot of people. So what do you think about that?
Well, Mo's back, so I don't know if you want to. I know his time is limited. I don't know if you want to finish up with
Yeah,
him.
Mo, what is your schedule? How much more time do you have?
Yeah, so after coming on, I'm whenever obviously I don't want to take away the spotlight from Daniel, but I would say whenever you guys are ready, I want to finish my point. I've tried twice. Clearly, karma's kicking in, but um, basically, just what I'm thinking about the championship. So for whatever reason, most sports when it comes to games that matter, we really show up. And they have a great squad, but I think I think if we were playing, and let's say everyone was the same age, I really think our team would blow everyone out. I think what's going on is that for whatever reason, till the playoffs come or the championship comes, and like we have that extra adrenaline. So till that extra adrenaline kicks in, everyone's like you know how it is when you play someone younger than you. Like in your mind, you're supposed to win, and when you feel like you're supposed to do something, you usually perform better than the other team because like it's just like kind of like nature or you don't have to think about it. So I think that's what goes on for us during the regular season, and then once playoff time comes, we forget about that and we kind of just like let our emotions take control. And I'm very excited. It should be a lot of fun.
So what kind of predict? Oh well, actually, Mo, do you have a particular approach when you face Mr. Ash?
It's a good question. I think what's interesting about me as a player is that I'm never really fully settled in how I hit or even my stance. For example, I just made a slight adjustment last night that for the past few months or a couple years I've been hitting a certain way, and I just realized that at Northermere Park with no fence and four outfielders, I had to make a slight adjustment, and I made that slight adjustment. So it's I always have to go like where I'm holding. When I face Daniel, I mean he's got a lot of speed. He likes putting the ball high, letters inside. So I really try not to be too close to the plate. And then the issue that I was having with him this season, I think I fixed. So I'm predicting a massive series against Daniel. But he's a great pitcher, and I think.
Oh my, by the way, I have
Thank
Mo's
you.
winning in a clean sweep.
No. I think I'm not. I wasn't talking about the team. I was just talking about how I thought I was going to face against you. In terms of what happened in the series, the truth is, like with softball or sports in general, like there's so many different factors, like how people are feeling on the night of the game, emotionally, physically. So it's really hard to say. Like maybe their first baseman Nenner will like be stuck in traffic on the way to the game, and then he'll start pulling the ball. So like,
are you sabotaging my team's cars now?
No. What I'm trying to say is so that already is a stress, and like once there's stress, I'm trying to say there's so many different factors that go into the game, so I can't predict, but I'm definitely very excited to me and Daniel always joke about my team. Just it's a running text thread of different slogans or trash talk that we have going back and forth. So I feel like this might finally settle it.
Well, no. Just to be clear, Mo trash talks. I do not trash talk. I just respond like he'll say something, I'll just be like, Moish.
Tell me the truth, though. I want to ask you this. I have to be someone who I have good relationships with everyone off the field. Even like I played in Israel AFI, which is like a really intense flag football league, and I had a lot of we could call it beef, but I don't carry it with me till today. Like if I see a person in the street, like never will the first thing come to my head, oh, we have beef. It's just if we ever go on a field together again, the memories will come back. So what I find interesting about you is that whenever we sort of get into it, it doesn't become it sort of never. I don't know if it's because you're not engaging into it, or you kind of like don't want to because it's my superpower, but like it kind of just ends. So I'm trying to figure out do you do that purposefully, or do you just generally not like to be confrontational? Like what's the story behind this?
A few things. First of all, you said AFI, an intense league in Israel, as if I didn't play in AFI. like I'm 12 years old, and an Orthodox Jew. I mean, when you say like our beef, I've never had beef. It's when you yell stuff, I laugh because I know that about you. That even I mentioned before you came on, this guy in the Hurricanes that I got into with like 7-8 years ago, off the field were great. I really like him. He's a different guy on the field, like takes it a little too far. So I know no matter what you do, I know you're just trying to win. So no matter what you say, you could insult like my kids, and I would still be like,
the one thing is I never take it too personal. I always whenever
I was trying to be funny. I was trying to be funny, but like, like there's nothing. I never take it it's not even that I don't take the bait. I don't even see it as bait. I'm just like, oh, he's doing what he does. So like, there's never even beef on the field. Kal V'chomer, there's nothing often. And I when we played you last, the Braves are winning 2-0. Yay. When we played you last and you were yelling stuff, I just remember like it was bases loaded. You were like trying to rile the boys up. I got out of it, and I think I said something to you before as a joke that like I thought might have offended you, even though it was meant as a joke. And I came over to you like, I like you were walking the field, whatever. I gave you a hug. I'm like we're good, right? Like, just to be abundantly clear that it's never even close to beef. It's not even like
right. I'm happy you remember that line now. As you said that, the line just flashed across my brain. I have some extra motivation now. I do remember the line you said, and I'm going to use it as bullet form material for me. So I appreciate.
You let me know whatever motivation you want. You give me a list of your hot topics, and I'll give you what you need.
I like that.
I have a question for both of you guys because it's very clear to me that you guys. Yeah, go pour it out. I'm gonna pour another one too, Daniel. You're an inspirational. You're an inspiration.
To drink, good.
I got something else here. I got Snob Creek. So I got a question.
Not my favorite, but a fine bottle.
I'm not a lawyer. Maybe if my salary was a little higher, I could afford the Don Julio.
Yeah, you said it, not me.
So my question is, both you guys are relatively young. Daniel, you're the captain of Unknowns.
Yeah, I make sure we 10 guys every week. I don't know if I call myself a captain, but
okay.
Yeah.
So there's something that keeps me and Avi up at night is the A-League talent in the area is a little thin. And I think some of that has to do not just with talent, but with intensity or focus or something also. And it seems like you guys are both relatively young. Daniel, you're a little bit older than Mo. But you really, I mean, Mo, I see you standing up to Mr. Ash, even though he used to be he used to be playing. He was coaching. You were a little kid on Darche or whatever. Daniel, you obviously have this relationship with Steve. You stand up to these guys. You worked your way into a senior community. I don't mean like old folks. I think there's something. I think there's there's something to be said for being and I don't know exactly what it is, and I don't have an exact question. Avi's been working hard to get more people to sign up for a league level of play, and Avi will tell them, you have the ability, you have the talent. I play in these leagues, and they'll say, no, it's too intense, or I'm not good enough, or they're going to blow us out. And I think there are some qualities that maybe I don't quite understand that maybe you can help us with. Both of you.
So I don't know if it's qualities like that's something that one can get better at. It's kind of something that just comes with us and my team. I was brought on. I didn't start my own team. I was brought on to a team, I guess, my year after my gap year in the North Woodmere League, and we got destroyed pretty often. At that point, there wasn't an A and a B league, and I was the same pitcher I am now. I threw just as fast, but there's something to be said about playing against like Steve and Koenig, who've been playing for years with the same teams, and you're just like a schnooky little, team of young kids. So you kind of like learn to play with the big boys. Like I don't think I've gotten better. I've just gotten more comfortable and more confident. And that's also part of the not caring thing. Like once you get to a point where you're like, all right, I think I can beat anyone. I just can't beat myself. Then you play better. And it's not just me. I'm speaking on behalf of my whole team. Like we know right now, like we finished in first place, like probably three or four out of the last 4 or 5 seasons. Like we win, and it's just a matter of whether or not we win the championship that year. So I'm sure Mo would say the same thing about his team, that once you see like, oh, we could beat these teams, then you actually play better. It's not because you've gotten better. It's just because you're like, okay, like they're good. They've been playing for 20, 30 years, and they've run this league, but now we know we can beat them, and they know we can beat them, so we do beat them.
It's a good answer. I like that. Yeah, I mean, I think that as you're saying, as Daniel's saying, it has a lot to do with personality. Like certain personalities are just they like intensity. They thrive off intensity, and there are players in the B League that are like that, but they don't. They might not have leadership ability, which means that they don't want to start on their own, or they kind of want to come in with others, but then they have a hard time convincing others. It's interesting because when I came into the A League, I kind of came at a very, even though Daniel isn't the same age as Steve or Koenig or even the Lobos, he has sort of a relationship with them that I don't. Not because I don't want to, or it's actually just like it's not. It wasn't. I never really was in that crowd, so it was kind of also for me like coming into the A League. I kind of like there was sort of like unwritten rules that I didn't know about, which was like, oh, like try to like do other teams a favor if it could make sense, different things like that. That I realized at the end of the day, just coming in as a new team, that was like interesting to me. That like sort of like we so what we did was we kind of like just went to the beat of our own drum. We didn't really we didn't do favors. We also didn't ask for favors. So that's where I think our team was like. That's what sort of separates us a little bit. Is like it kind of like that's what fuels the competition because we're the young team that everyone sort of wants to like beat, and they're kind of like the guys that have been there for a while. And so I think that's where really the A League, even though there aren't a lot of teams, it's always an intriguing story. You know, you have us with the young team, then you have Ash, who's like sort of the team that's become the new, you know, the new Lobos, we'll call them, even though I don't want to call them the Lobos because they're unknowns. But like the team that is just going to be in first place and solid, and then you have the teams that have been here for a while that kind of feel like, oh, these young guys shouldn't play with us or don't belong in the same field with us because we have a lot more years of experience, which is true. So I find it interesting in terms of why other people aren't in the A League. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it's marketing, like just showing people that it could be done, and then you have to be willing to lose in the beginning because even if you're talented, there's certain things you realize about the A League that you might not realize before, like errors or even mistakes on the base paths could cost you a game. So I think those factors are why people sort of just stay away. But I think it's bound to change. It's there will be others that.
Well, that's my biggest issue. I mean, Ash, I don't know if you could talk to this, but the way, at least when I speak to Steve about, our team, Steve always would compare, our Moish Sports used to be a Melee Machine team, or at least our first couple of years, similar to, Ash's team, his first couple of years, where, as Daniel was just saying, in his first year, he got blown apart. He got, it wasn't competitive even. It was, every game was a blown out. And the same thing with us.
Well, you don't have to be mean. I didn't say that.
Sorry. I'm trying to make a point here, so I'm trying to be very, assertive. But, every person I speak to now that I'm running the HSL and I'm trying to recruit, Titan talent, A-League in the spring, and now this full Night League that, of course, Daniel Ash is going to eventually join the team because we will finish before it gets cold, even though I know he doesn't like playing in the cold. Anyway, so I'm trying to build the Titan League now. We thank God we already have 4 teams confirmed and 3 hopefully coming in. A lot of the responses from guys who I think are good enough to play are like, oh, but I'd rather play in a league where I know I have for sure a shot of winning the championship than if I know there's a very good chance, I'm not going to win a championship. It just bothers me. Like, I think that's a big reason why the A talent is so much less nowadays. People they want to know they could win. They don't care about competition. They don't care about facing guys. And I'm curious to get your take on this, Ash. But I think I know most take. But like, it just bothers me. Like, how do you?
If you're gonna subtweet Ariel Cohen like that, let's just call him and have him on.
You should know Ariel Cohen agreed to go to the Titan League, which is what we call the A League in the spring Sunday morning next year.
I'll believe it. I'll believe it when I see it.
But in general, like Ash, I would like for you to address this. I don't get it. Like I'll give you an example. I was helping put together a team for this Sunday morning for the Night Foley coming up. Bunch of guys who are real solid players, good players. They're not Archie Eichhorn hitters or Adam Hoffman hitters, but they're very solid hitters. They can hit off any pitcher. They're great in the field. But 2 or 3 guys had a freak attack like, oh my gosh, King Ventures from the Spring Leagues in a league, or Steve's bringing a team. Like, I don't want to join that league. They're so good. I want a shot at winning the championship. Like, so I'd rather go to the B League where I know there's a 80% chance of winning a championship than go to the A League where there's a 15% chance. Like, I don't get it. Like, I think that's why the A talent is getting so small because people are getting so intimidated by the top tier guys.
You're not gonna like my answer.
Oh,
They're not wrong. Like if for you and even for me, because again, it's not about winning for me. It's about having a good time. If you're gonna get blown out every game and you're not having a good time, then why do it? So if you know for a fact, and I remember like I don't love playing softball Sunday mornings. I love doing it in Beaver Lake because it's like upstate and it's just a different vibe. And in the Shul League, like when I'm around, just cause I was on the Young Israel Woodmere Shul League team. We were a powerhouse. I was playing with Steve and Koenig Bloom, Alan Schiff. Like we had a fantastic team. And I left to play with like my friends my age on Woodsburg. And we're not, can't say that, they'll get mad. We're great. We're the best. Because I just wanted to like play with my friends. But like, so the point that I'm making there is that so I never really played in the Sunday morning Queens League, and I was just like a known thing. Like the Bombers are winning the championship. Like you could play in the regular season and beat other teams, but you know they're winning. So for some teams, I don't know if I would have that mindset, but for most people, like yeah, like if I know I'm not going to win a championship, why do it? So I don't know if there's really a solution for it. I don't know if that's the answer you wanted to hear, but I think the thing about the A League is like in our night league is that any team can win. And what I love about the league and why it's the one league that I'll firmly commit to every year, it's the same teams. And you like I was playing tennis last night by North Woodmere Park, and I wasn't even playing. And then after I was done, I just came over just to say hi to people. Like I love the guys and the hock as opposed like more so than the game itself. So because you're playing the same teams over and over, and it's the same guys every year, that's just like a vibe that draws people in. Like for the last 20 years, like not my team, but like Steve and Yehuda have had their teams and Lobos, whatever. So I think with your league, even though teams might be scared now to join the A League, like as it's the same teams over and over, it might get that vibe where people are playing not just because they think that they can win, but because they, want to play against the same competition every year.
I have a question. Your team that you're the captain of, or as you put it, you make sure 10 guys show up. How many years has that you formed that team completely, or you took over a pre-existing team?
When are we kicking Mo off, by the way? I thought Mo was getting 15 minutes.
15 minutes of fame.
Honestly, guys, that's Daniel's way of saying I love you. But
it is.
I'm gonna head out. I gotta run anyways. Looking forward.
Mo works a long. Most sports works a
that
very
was a joke,
long.
by the way. That was a joke, by the way. I love.
I actually looked at the clock. I was like, "Whoa, you're right." I was having too much fun here. But I'm very much looking forward to the championship. And
Mo, give us your quick prediction before you go. Ash predicted most sports sweeping. What do you think, Mo?
Mercy.
Mo?
I'm honestly predicting. I think we take game one, a nail biter, a low scoring game one, and then I think it really depends how the Omnons respond to losing a game they expected to win. If they can have a good response, I think we get to a game three. But if they just put their heads down like they sometimes do, and and they don't have Mo in the lineup anymore, so no 3-run homer to save the day. We'll see what happens.
All right, Skip Bayless. Thanks.
They're forgetting that how many championships have you guys won so far? Omnons as a whole.
I think 2. I don't know if we were Omnons for both of them, but
okay, so we're both chasing history here. All righty, good night, guys. A pleasure. Always fun.
See you, Mo.
Love you, Moish.
So Daniel, you have you have 2 hanging questions that you deflected. I'll get back to the first one.
I do. Later. I was going to remind you about the Steve question. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah. But first, I'm curious about you formed the current team that you have in the Monday Night League in what we call the A League, and it's a very intense league. You formed that team yourself 5 years ago. You're a 25-year-old kid. You said, "I'm ready to form a team. I'm ready to go up against these guys."
So I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out David Englander. I don't use the word mentor. None of you know who he is. I'll
is
tell
he
him
like the Shmuel Englander?
His father.
Okay.
So
great guy, Shmuel. Shmuel's a great guy.
I love Shmuel, one of the best at everything. So Shmuel, I don't know if it was his team or his dad's team. It was just like the Croton League was A and B league mixed together. So like there were fantastic teams like there are now, but like the competition level wasn't so even. So they were kind of lower to middle of the pack, and they had like Yaakov Avitan, a few guys on their team that were friends with Shmuel, I'm friends with me. We're like, oh, like there's this guy, he can pitch, whatever. So I started playing for them, and I'm not gonna be able to find it now, but I have this fantastic picture of a game against Koenig where I gave up 10 runs in the first inning, and I'm up to bat in the first, and you could see like the giant scoreboard behind me that says 10-0.
Ash, you got the picture. We'll plug it in the podcast when we put it up.
Oh, it's the best picture ever, and I'm
We'll put it
up, and I'm up, and I look so downtrodden. Like I'm just standing there with the bat like this, like I just gave up 10 runs. And so like that team, God bless David Englander and the Englander family. I love David to this day. And when we won our first championship, he wasn't on the team anymore. I paid for an extra trophy and got one for him because this was really his team, Avi Nenner, a few other guys. So I kind of like inherited that. I joined that team, and then eventually David retired, and Shmuel played for me for a few more years, and then we kind of kicked people off once it became an A-League, like in a nice way. So it wasn't like my team to start. I give the full credit to my Rebbe, David Englander. But I've molded it kind of in my image over the years. I've brought on my friends, and I try to strike a balance between like, well, it's not even a balance. My number one priority is like my friends, guys I want to spend time with that also, you know, are good at softball. So it's not my team, but yes, it has over the years become more and more my team.
So it's interesting. So you had mentorship bringing you, helping bring you along to face the big bad A-League opponents.
Yeah, I mean, David, like I've played tennis. I guess that's a common theme that I play other sports with the guys that I play softball with. We play at the Lawrence Country Club, like, you know, in the summers, even before or after softball season, whatever it was, like with David Englander. He's my friend's father. I was at Shmuel's wedding. I text David still once in a while. So it's not even mentorship. Like I view these guys as my age. Like I played, so I'm a member at the Lawrence Country Club. Yehuda Koenig used to be a member at the Lawrence Country Club. He just upgraded to Inwood Country Club a couple months ago. So
is that an upgrade? I don't usually think of Lawrence to Inwood as an upgrade.
So yeah, subjectively speaking, you know, demographic wise, it's not. I love Lawrence. I won't say you know, I can't say anything bad about it, but Inwood hosted a U.S. Open, you know, 100 years ago. It's a different league. So Yehuda became a member there, invited me out to golf, you know, a couple weeks in, and I just like left the house. Or when you're married with two kids, you have to get permission well in advance to golf. So I asked my wife like a week in advance. She's like, yeah. And then as I was leaving, she's like, oh, who are you golfing with? And I said, oh, Yehuda Koenig. She's like, I thought you said you're golfing with your friend. He's like, you know, 20 years old or 15 years older than you. I'm like, I don't even think of these guys, you know, in terms of their age. Steve is my friend. You know, I play, like his son plays on my team now, his son, but Steve is my friend. I golf with Steve.
Which team does he play with you on?
My night league team. He's like a kind of our official sub.
Caleb. So he goes up against Steve. Interesting.
He went up against Steve. He got a couple hits against him. So Steve warned me about him in a very nice way. He said, look, like he hasn't really played softball up until a few years ago, but he's good. Like the raw talent is there. And I'm like, say no more. It's the pollen genes. I know he's a great hockey player, excellent golfer. I'd golf with him. So I'm investing in pure raw pollen talent. And
how's his basketball game, Ash? Do you know his basketball
Caleb?
game? Yeah.
No, not at all.
Because Caleb Pollen's planning on bringing a team to the HSL Fall Basketball League.
I'm sure they're great. Like
see how that'll play out.
Yeah, they're all athletic. He's a fantastic athlete. So it's a great little story. Caleb, a few weeks ago when he was playing for me, I asked because he usually plays right field, and Race wasn't there because he's never there. So I told.
Yeah, I want to get to that also. I want to ask your thoughts on Ellie Race.
Let's devote a full segment to Ellie Race.
Let's first finish this off. I'm curious.
Yeah, so
he's enigmatic too. You and Ellie are probably the two most enigmatic characters that I've encountered in these few months of doing the podcast.
I only met Ellie Race last year, and I've seen him maybe 20 times in my life, but there's so many words I would use to describe him other than enigmatic.
First, to answer this question, I really want to get to that. I was actually planning on asking you.
Wait, hold on. The Caleb story. Yeah, so Caleb, I told him, I said, do you mind playing left field tonight instead of right field? And he looks at me and goes, which one's that? And he points to both fields. And I'm cracking up because, like, he's such a good athlete. And he's not just a good athlete, he's great at softball. I hit him high in the lineup. He gets on base. He's like the fastest kid in the world. But he just doesn't have a head for baseball yet. That's like the sport he hasn't, you know, gotten into yet. So it's a pure like talent investment. Like you get a guy from the Dominican, a 16-year-old prospect, and you just bring him up through the system.
So funny. That's so
All right,
funny.
what was your question, Avi?
My question is that I was very curious because I know Ellie Race is known for playing in every softball league in the world, and he this year made his debut in the as a regular in the Monday night league. And I'm just very curious. I've heard a lot of Ellie Ray sleeping in his car comments. I'm very curious about what you think of the Ellie Race personality that you have going for you in left field. Ellie's very frustrated with you, by the way, because he says he gets no plays in the outfield, and he said it's really frustrating. He's driving an hour and 20, an hour and a half from Muncie to play, and he's just standing out there all game, not getting any plays, and he gets three at bats a game if he's lucky.
All right, so before I make these comments, I'll preface this by saying I don't want to give him too much on by giving him too much time and attention. So I'll answer this one question, then we'll move on. I warned him when when he started playing for him, just so you know, not a ton of balls are going to go to left field. So he knew what he was doing. He goes, nah, man, it's all chill. So I met Ellie from the OHEL tournament last year, from He Who Shall Not Be Named, Menachem Diamondstein, who, by the way, I know there's a lot of whatever. I love Menachem. I was texting him today.
David and I were discussing, and just very raw, we were discussing whether we should bring this up or not.
I'll bring it up. I love Menachem.
And David actually told me that we were advised by a few people that if that goes in the right direction, we should definitely bring it up because it's good content for the podcast.
Jesus Christ. So I love Menachem. He apologized. He called me 5 times. I ignored it every time. I'm still pissed, but it's not a piss. If I see him, once a summer, I see him in Beaver Lake. He stays by a family there. I'll give him a hug. I love him. I just, they're softball related things. I'm like, maybe it's not the best idea that you and I team up. And I literally said that to him today because he's trying to bring me back to play for his OHEL team. Different can of worms. So,
wait 1 second. So sorry, I'm getting distracted.
I'm not at liberty to say anything. There's a lot going on.
So I heard from Steve today this team might not happen with you and Steve. What's going on? Is this?
I don't know what I'm allowed to say and not allowed to say.
All right, let's leave it there. I'm just very
let's just say there's 6.
I'll be in Florida, so I have no bias. But I'm just very I like being in the hockey, and now I'm very confused by the hockey. Anyways, yeah. So let's discuss. I'm curious. So Ellie Race got his little talk of fame. So what do you think about? You didn't finish.
Oh yeah. So right? I met Ellie playing on Menachem's team in the OHEL tournament, and then Menachem subbed for my team. Not subbed. He last year played enough games to be playoff eligible, so that in a doubleheader in the playoffs he could pitch a game. Because when I bring guys in to pitch for me as a second pitcher, I let them pitch in playoff games. So I kind of, when this whole thing happened, someone on my team said to me, he's like, you should have Menachem come for a playoff game and just don't play him. That'd be very funny. So I love Menachem. So I texted Menachem before the season. I said, hey, Shuey Hoffman was going to play for me. He's not playing for me in the end. I thought he was going to be left field. Can you get me someone? In seconds, it wasn't just a text. He had me on a conference call with Ellie Race, and he's like, "Hey, you played with him in the OHEL tournament. He's great. Ellie, do you want to play?" He's like, "Yeah, man, I'm down." I'm like, "Cool. Where do you live? What's your deal?" He goes, "I live in where does he live? Muncie, Teaneck,
Muncie."
It's like, "Yeah, I live in Muncie. I'll drive down." I'm like, "Are you sure? Because it's a long drive, and the games are sometimes late." He's like, "Yeah, man, softball. I love it." I'm like, great. So I didn't really recognize him, whatever. I just knew oh, he was the leadoff hitter and we won the tournament. So I knew he was good. And that's really it. And he's a good guy. He orders chickies during games. And he's one of those guys that lives and breathes softball. So I think what you were alluding to there is that I'll leave the game, when my game concludes, I go home to my wife and my family. And he does not do that. He just stays at the field until the lights turn off. So I don't think that he has a life outside of softball, and I don't say that to be mean. I just think that he's married to the game and sleeps at the field. That's all.
I got to get going soon, but we have a couple of important things to get to relating to living and eating and breathing softball. First, you gotta answer the original question about how you reply to. What are your thoughts on how do you reply to Steve? First of all, being so into softball, but also suggesting that you're full of crap and really you care just as much as the next guy.
I was going to bring that up. That's what I was going to
You know what Steve said? Did he say I'm full of crap?
He did.
He
basically did. He basically did. We asked Steve, we said that Ash is, he doesn't take it so seriously. Obviously, he plays to win, but he doesn't really care. He jokes around. So he basically said, don't let him fool you. He said that guy has the same inner competitiveness as any one of us have. That's basically what he said. I mean, Steve, if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, competitiveness is human nature. So when I go against Steve, a gun to my head, do you want to win? Yes or no? Not even a gun, just, hey, you want to win? Like, sure, I'd love to win. I don't let it consume me. And if I lose, I won't let it bother me. Steve, I love Steve. He'll still mention, and when we, talk about anything, he can tell you exactly what happened in a playoff loss 5 years ago. I can't do that. I can't tell you what happened in a game to me yesterday. So like what drives us innately is the same. We're all competitive people. We all want to win. What I guess the difference between me and Steve is that, he'll really show it and I won't. And I don't want to like say anything that sounds mean, because I'm not trying to say like one approach is better than the other. He just really cares a lot, and good for him. Like, maybe I should care more. So I want to win, but because just under the surface, there's just that, I know why I play sports and do anything, why I play hockey or any sport is just to have a good time. I don't care as much as other people when I lose. So yes, I want to win, but it's not like I don't have a burning desire to win.
Okay. Avi, did you have anything you want to say? I want to ask.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Going back to the being that Ash brought it up, and I'm sure Menachem would love to hear about this. So, if like Dave was saying, we like to clue in our audience every topic that's brought up. We want to make sure everyone knows what's going on. So, in the debut of the HSL Titan League this past spring, Menachem Diamond seen Daniel Ash and Yossi Kaufman, three of the top pitchers in the in the Five Towns area, teamed up on a team called King Ventures. Now, as Ash alluded to earlier, the Bombers were the kings. No pun intended.
Daniel, I got you.
The Bombers were the kings of the HSL for years. They won 3 championships in a row. They won, I think, 4 in a row, maybe 5 out of 6 or 6 out of 7. And they really, other than my team, who was somewhat competitive and came within really 2 innings of beating the Bombers in a championship, there's really no other team that was competitive with the Bombers in years. So once we took over the HSL, I made it a big effort of mine to get teams in there that were somewhat competitive, and at least get one more team in there that's actually has a legitimate shot at beating the Bombers. So this sort of super team, you could call it, was put together, and for the championships, you had a best of 3, where Menachem brought down him and Yossi for game 1, and brought down Ash, who was supposedly going to pitch game 2. Menachem started game 1. He a little roughed up in the first few innings. It brings in Yossi to close out game 1. He does a good job, and they end up winning the game, and they end up losing the game. But Kaufman pitched pretty well, closing out the game. Menachem decides to stick with Yossi game 2. Daniel's walking in there with an umbrella in the rain. If I'm not mistaken, he has his family was headed upstate that day. The word is, and he had to delay his trip upstate. So there's a lot going on, and then game 2 gets underway, and Yossi Kaufman's on the mound, and Ash sitting in the dugout watching the game unfold. And Yossi ends up pitching the game. King Ventures ends up getting the win. They end up winning the series. But the question is, what's the right thing to do there? What should have happened there? I'm assuming Menachem came from a pure strategy standpoint. I'm assuming Daniel's coming from a different standpoint. So I'm curious to hear your take on that, and what you were thinking as this was unfolding.
So my answer probably won't surprise you, based on everything I've said and anyone who knows me. Softball is not life for me. Winning and losing is not the make or break it. It's not why I do it. So to me, and I said this to Menachem, so I don't want to talk too much about this, because a lot of it is, just personal things between me and him.
As much as you want. Again, I don't think we would have brought it up if you didn't bring it up, so I'm happy you did.
Whatever clickbait you need, man. So like, to me, there was a human element where, I had a trial in 2 weeks that I had to prepare. I had 2 Sundays that I needed, obviously during the week, and then the Sundays I needed to work. And I was going upstate myself to like set up the house before the season. Whenever I drive up there and make sure everything's working, I let in the cleaning lady, whatever. So I told Menachem, I said, look, I need one of the next 2 Sundays. It was the championship. It was a best of 3, right? So 1 and 2, and then game 3.
Yeah.
I said I can't come to both games. I can come to one of those days, because I need one Sunday to the day I play. I'll drive upstate. But also, like, I need a Sunday to fully, like, prepare for my trial. So, and the other Sunday, I still need to prepare for my trial, so pick a day. So he told me, yeah, like, games 1 and 2, like, make sure, like, can we have you there? I'm like, well, it's 2 games, so I'm not going to be getting upstate until, like, middle of the afternoon. There's going to be more traffic. So, are you sure you need me then? He goes, yeah, like, we need you to pitch. So, like, I'm not, like, a diva. I don't need to pitch. When I played for the Young Israel, Steve and Yehuda Koenig were always very gracious. They always offered me to pitch. I would never take the reins from Steve and Yehuda. So
Where
I
did you play?
never.
Where did you play? What's your position?
So I played the outfield, but I'm athletic, but I don't really like have a head for the game other than pitcher. So like, I think I have a decent glove, but like, I don't have they put me in the outfield. They're like, oh, like you can run down fly balls. So I think I lost a championship once because I took a step in on a fly ball that I should have taken a step out, which is every outfielder knows, but I'm not an outfielder. And Steve won't forget it. And so I always volunteer to play first because I'm just like, I don't want to hurt.
I've seen you play first a little bit.
Yeah, like, so I just don't want to hurt the team. So if you have good fielders behind you, don't let me lose the game for you. So on the Young Israel, I always volunteer to play first. And like, yeah, we just want you for your bat anyways, if you're not pitching. So with Menachem, I said, like, yeah, I don't need a pitch. But he's like, don't worry, like, you're going to most likely start, but you're definitely pitching. So the fact that I didn't pitch is fine strategically. Like Steve and Seth and all the guys on the team after were like, dude, like, why didn't you pitch? Like, Kaufman didn't have his best stuff. Like, he pitched well, and Kaufman's the best. I love Yossi. He's one of my favorite people in the world. He's a fantastic pitcher. He just didn't have his best stuff, and they just weren't scoring. And they were like, we just kept waiting for you to come in, and it never happened. And Menachem kept saying, like, warm up, keep warming up, and I just never went in the game. So it wasn't the softball part of it, because you do what you need to do to win, like if you're so driven to win, like Menachem is. But from a human perspective, knowing that like I ended up getting to Beaver Lake at 4:00 that day, shot my day, didn't get to prep for my trial until like 11 p.m. Out of like from pure Akaras Tov perspective, you give me a couple of, make-a-wish innings, like here, like finish out the game, especially when Yossi wasn't pitching that great. So that was kind of that was really all of it. And so it bothered me on a personal level. Also, there was some personal family stuff that like it wasn't like I was stressed for other reasons. So, and then he wanted me to come the next week. Like he called me and texted me like, hey, like I'll see you next week, right? I'm like, what are we doing here, man? Like he didn't even realize exactly. He wouldn't even realize that I was upset. So, but like again, I love Menachem. Everything I just said is just anecdotal from what happened, but not like I love him personally. It's just. I thought he put the game ahead of like my life, and he apologized. Once we spoke it out, he like, absolutely, I messed up. I'm sorry. So I have nothing against him. So personally, that was why I don't know what people say about it, or if it's been talked about, if that's why you're asking, but that's the background that you need to know.
Very good. We're all gonna have to wish Menachem although he claims he'll still be around for all the big games, but we're all gonna have the whole softball community is gonna have to wish Menachem a farewell and a Tzeichem L'Shalom as he's departing to the south, to Florida, in I think a few weeks.
Yes, he'll be there every Sunday for softball.
It's funny, for the fall league that we're running, Menachem told me he's moving to Florida. He says, as long as you get me Wednesday night games, I should be able to make it. I'm like, what does that even mean? He's like, don't worry, just get me Wednesday night games, I should be able to qualify for the playoffs.
It's the same thing I say about, I don't think I'm better than anyone because I don't care as much. Everyone has different approaches, and I say this to Moish also. Like, I admire people that care so much about something. Like Halavai, like I should care about something so much. Like maybe it'd be good for me. I'm not saying it's the best approach. So like I respect people like Menachem and Moish that are so driven by softball or anything like that. They care.
Yeah, I have to say, Daniel, in terms of your sharing all of that, it's really good. It's really good for our audience, the people that are going to watch. Things happen on the softball field that are upsetting or annoying or whatever, and people don't talk about them afterward. They just harbor a grudge for 5 years, and it's amazing that both of you spoke about it, I think.
Well, I mean, when we say both of us, who's the other?
I thought you and Diamondstein had a conversation about it.
Oh, you mean to each other? Yeah, I mean, look, it's at the end of the day, we all die, like we lost. I play ice hockey, which is a very intense sport, as you can imagine.
Famously,
we talked to someone playing ice hockey.
And that when I was gathering some research, a couple people say he's very into hockey.
Okay, great, good for me. So, like ice hockey is very intense, start to finish, and we lost like a 1-goal game in the championship a couple weeks ago. That would break some people, and it's obviously very deflating. And the goalie of our team is one of my best friends. We drove home together, and you're pissed for a little bit, and then you get over it because you're like, why do we play sports to begin with? It's to have a good time. So I think like winning is objectively better than losing, but if you let it consume you, then you just don't. Even if you win, you don't really enjoy it as much because you forget the reason why you play sports to begin with.
So how long do you think Steve was consumed by his loss against the King Ventures in the
Oh,
championship?
he still brings it up to me in every conversation. We could be talking about like, I don't know. I was going to say something political, but I didn't. Steve's very conservative. But we could be talking about anything, and he'll just bring it up, and what happened in the game specifically with whatever. I won't give more details. It's confidential.
The error.
Yeah,
or the,
the what?
The error or the slide?
The error, because I play with Chaim upstate, so like, and Chaim's an unbelievable player and a better person. So for Steve especially, it's hard because you're trying to say, and I'm not going to disclose any of what we discussed. It's me saying this, not him. It's you have to, at a certain point, and this goes for everything, you have to separate game from life. So Steve is best friends with Chaim and Abish. He grew up with these guys. So at a certain point, like, you can only get so mad about something or, up in arms about something because, these are your friends and personal relationships. So
I didn't realize
he's put it, he's not as, mad as you think he might be.
Okay. So now I have a few quick questions for you. You have 5 seconds to answer. If there's one hitter in the area that you don't want to face, who is it?
Yossi Kaufman.
Come on.
No, it's because
I know Adam Hoffman. Ash is the only player that he has to change his approach against is Adam. It's got to be. Adam.
No, the Yossi Kaufman answer is kind of serious because if he gets a hit off me, like, he'll burn my house down. Like, I'll never forget it. Like, like, he'll let me know about it for the rest of my life, and he's just really good. There's no one I don't want to face. The best hitter I've pitched against is Adam Hoffman. Like, there's no way to pitch him. There's a way I pitch him that I try. Sometimes successful, sometimes it's not. Anyone who answers anything other than Adam Hoffman is thinking too hard.
Okay,
Adam had a big hit against us in the seventh inning, in the eighth inning, extra inning, bottom of the eighth, and set the table for us to get walked off and lose the third game until Adam rounded second and made a bit of a too big of a turn and got stuck in between second and third. It was one of the craziest innings I was ever part of. Lobos had hit 3 bullets and an Archie fly ball to center field, 4 bullets and a fly ball to center field, and didn't score a run. One of the craziest things I saw. Bullet single, fly out, bullet single. Adam got caught between second and third, and then a bullet that Zinn made a diving catch on to end the game.
Adam just hits it hard every time, so
crazy.
You just have to get lucky.
Also, you pitch it up, in, down, or away. He's everywhere.
There's a way to pitch him, but I won't disclose. My catcher knows, and just my catcher.
Best hitter on Omnodes?
Me. No, Matt Rosenberg. Matt Rosenberg would probably be my answer of guys I don't want to face if I haven't been teammates with him for the last 10 years.
Who do you want to see in a big spot for your team at the plate? Daniel Ash or Avi Nenner?
Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. Avi Nenner. He'll get so pissy about it if I don't say that. But the real answer is Matt Rosenberg. Matt Rosenberg's the best athlete you'll ever meet in your life.
That's the real answer. Okay, got it. Best pitcher in the Monday Night League?
Steve Pollen.
Is Steve Pollen the best pitcher you've ever batted against?
Steve Pollen is the best because, again, softball to me is like a kind of a very niche Orthodox Jewish sport that's not really played worldwide. He might be the best softball pitcher in the world. He's wow. I mean, I pitch fast and I can locate, and that's, I guess, what makes me successful. Steve, and this is me, playing against he's 54 now, so in his 40s and 50s, Steve, I'm sure when he was younger, as he has told me himself, he was much faster. He can pitch as fast, and he throws a curveball, a changeup. I just throw it fast, sometimes not as fast. Steve is, when he's on, he's absolutely unhittable.
Okay. Part of what's creating this whole Jersey versus Five Towns game that we brought up at the beginning of the podcast is that these guys in Jersey feel they have pitchers that are miles ahead of Steve, and they have hitters like Hank Dweck. Like, I don't know if you're familiar. Hank Dweck, I think, played on your all team also, and other guys who are miles ahead of guys from. So you don't care. This stuff doesn't drive you. You don't care about this stuff. It's just another game.
Yeah, when you say drive, it's even less than that. Like I didn't even know that was like a conversation. That like I didn't know there were leagues in New Jersey. To be honest, like Ellie's like, yeah, I play in this Muncie league and this other league. Like I just show up.
What would it take you to come down to this All-Star game?
Where's it being held?
It would be a Sunday, a best of 3, and it would be at a neutral location. A 25 max minute drive, half an hour.
And we'll get you a drive. And we'll get you a driver.
$10,000. I don't know. Like it's not that I don't enjoy softball. Like I enjoy
You'll be with the boys. More. You'll be with the boys.
Which boys?
Matt will be there.
Matt
Steve
will not
Pollen.
be there.
Steve
I promise
Pollen
Matt will not be there.
Steve Pollen, Adam Hoffman, they'll be there. Matt will be there.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, for me, like I can golf with, like I like golf's my favorite sport, tennis, hockey. So I don't dislike softball, but to get me, and I said this to Menachem even like before the Queens League season, because he said like, yeah, it's me, you, and Kaufman. I said I won't leave the Dollar-Alamos or the 5 towns just because I don't have like the taiva for softball as much as other sports. And it's not even sports. Like I'd rather play with my kids on a Sunday morning. I won't wake up like at 8 a.m. for a game, kill my whole day.
Okay, final question. Rank the following. This comes from Glenn Zuckerman, who again.
Hi, Glenn.
Glenn. Wait. Actually, 2 more questions. Glenn Zucker. You'd rather face Glenn Zuckerman than Adam Hoffman?
Glenn sucks.
Okay. Here's his question.
I love Glenn. Glenn's one of my favorite people. He actually knows one of the bosses of my firm, so I have to be careful with what I say. Like they're lifelong friends. Adam's a different animal to me. Glenn's a fantastic hitter. I think Adam, I don't know why I'm buttering up Adam so much, but like Adam is in a different league. Adam is the only hitter that I have an approach for. Every other hitter, it's how am I pitching that day? How is this guy maybe hit off me the first few at-bats? Do I think I have my best stuff? Adam is the only guy that I know what I'm doing for him every at-bat. Glenn is unbelievable. But to me, it's Adam and everyone else.
Okay. So he said, ask Daniel to rank the following pitchers based off of their 2024 performances. Pollen, Koenig, Kaufman, Diamondstein, Ash, Edelman. You have six pitchers here.
What a terrible question.
I thought it was a terrible question too. But
he's setting me up, like based off 2024. Like, how do I know how guys have been playing this year?
We really want to know.
You did see Edelman throw a shutout against your team.
Did I? I don't even remember.
We really want to know who number 6 is.
The second leg of a doubleheader when you guys didn't play the game before? Okay, congrats. I think there are years, again, I don't know my stats. Like someone on my team told me a few weeks ago, like, dude, you went like a bunch of games in a row, like without giving up a run or giving up one run. You know my stats? What are my stats?
24 innings straight.
How do you know that and not me?
Because I see the unknown scores 3 weeks in a row, and Nenner told me I think it was 24.
So to me, like I don't know my stats, but it's all a feel thing. I know like when I'm golf also, like even if I don't know my score for that round, I know if I felt good. So like I know this year I've pitched well. So and we had a good record. We were in first place. So for that reason and that reason only, I would put myself at the top of that list without knowing what the rest have done. And Steve, I'm sure, is at the top there. Yehuda, I know, has been injured and on and off. Kaufman is fantastic. Kaufman is, I didn't know he was like 37 until a few weeks ago. I don't really know these guys.
He's a late bloomer.
I don't even want to say late bloomer. He was always very good. I just remember playing against him upstate a few years ago, and I played against him for years at that point. He played for Evan Blackman's team in the night league, and I thought he was pretty good. And that game, like I think it was like we played a doubleheader, and we each gave up like 1 or 2 runs each game. And I thought like, wow, he's fantastic. And now like when he's on, he's unhittable. So Yussi, he's probably at the top of that list, if not higher than me. Like he has become.
There's really less and less room for Edelman on this list.
Oh, was Edelman on that list?
All right, guys, we got to wrap in a minute. Do we have any closing thoughts, Avi and Daniel?
I just say that I'm excited for the championships. I love playing in. I haven't won a championship in 2.5 years since my was my RSK championship. The 2020 I won 3 championships, and then 2022 I won 2 championships. So I've gone 2023 I was blanked. So this is my first chance of winning a championship in a year and a half. So I'm excited. And I really encourage you, Mr. Daniel Ash, to get on board with this All-Star game. It should be a lot of fun, and it's good. It's a good event for the HSL, and you never know. Maybe the HSL will, eventually. I don't want to say that. Never mind. But I do encourage you to play. I do encourage you to play in this game. Hopefully, you'll make it. And looking forward to Monday night. It should be a lot of fun.
Wait, this All-Star game wasn't a joke? I thought it was a joke.
No, it's serious.
Oh, it's happening.
We did a podcast this past week with two guys. One guy named Uri Adler and one guy named Hank Dweck. I think Hank Dweck you played on OHEL. He was on your team with Diamondstein. First base.
Very, very good. Yes, very good.
Very good hitter.
Very good.
These guys are really competitive players, and they play in these leagues in Deal. These leagues in Deal and Lakewood, but Deal especially are known to like have the bet. It's like the Monday Night League they view as like a joke, like the intensity wise, compared to this league in Deal, the YMSL. It's a Sunday morning draft league where like people play. It's like people play the day of their weddings. Like you don't miss unless you have a funeral. And the top talent in that league, they say, is like not even comparable to any other Jewish sports stars. And it's not even close. Like they don't even think it's close. So that's sort of where. And on the podcast this past week, they were saying like it's a joke. Not it's a joke, but not that guys that Paul's not good and you're not good, but like. It's not like if they have to pick guys, like of course the Deal guys are more talented than the guys in the five. It's not even like, basically it's not even close. So that's where Dave made a chat with Paul and Glenn Zuckerman, Uri Adler and Hank Dweck, and we're trying to get together some sort of fun best of 3 day. We'll have some fun family stuff so guys can bring their families. We get a fun time. So we actually want to make it happen.
So I was told the same thing about the OHEL tournament last year. So Menachem, I mean, for years, guys have been trying to get me to play RSK, OHEL, and I don't know if there's another one, but it's just not worth the drive for me. So I told Menachem last year, like, I'll do the OHEL one because my grandparents live in Lakewood. I could sleep over the night before. It's a quick drive, whatever. So, like, I was told, like, oh, this is the best of the best, like all the tri-state area competition. We dominated everyone. Like me and Menachem both pitched great. Our team was unbelievable. So I don't know. I don't know how much to trust that. Like that would have been the measuring stick. And
this guy Uri Adler, I think he'd like to go up against you. Is my sense.
He's very curious. He was a third baseman on my RSK championship team, and he won the RSK championship this past year as well. By the way, that team you had Stephen J. Gindy and Joe Cifarati, two of the top Syrian players out there on your team as well. So you did get a little bit of help from the Jersey boys as well.
I'll take your word for it. I don't really remember. There's a couple of guys from that team that like I've had our catcher. Someone remind me his name. What was our catcher's name?
Oh, he catches
Rosen.
Yes, yeah.
Great guy, because I think he played for us in the Sunday morning league. I played with him a game.
Yeah,
so like these guys
with Race, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. He came with Ellie. So like these guys that I wouldn't recognize maybe if I saw them on the street because I spent one Sunday with them. Great guys, start to finish. It was that OHEL tournament for me. Not to sound redundant, that was like just the vibes and the experience of the day for me were fantastic. And then a little great story, just if I may, for 30 seconds, I took off from work the next day because I knew like I'm going to be pitching. Like if I'm blessed that Menachem actually lets me pitch when I show up, that I'm going to be dead tired. And we played the full, like we won the championship. So me and Menachem each pitched whatever. So I took off from work. I thought I was going to be dead and I was. I woke up at like 9:30 and I had a text from Steve saying, hey, there's a Tzedakah golf tournament, Chestnut Country Club in New Jersey. Can you be here in 90 minutes? I said, yes, sir. And I was there 90 minutes later. Me and Steve played together. It was a fully paid for round. I was like filling in for someone that dropped out and like physically broken. Like my body, I didn't move for 2 days after that. But that OHEL tournament was just a fantastic experience. Food wise, just everyone,
We'll get the guys on board for this game, and we'll come to you to finish out our HSL All-Star team. A lot riding on the game.
Thanks so much for coming on, Daniel. I think people are going to be very interested to see all of this, and we hope to have you on again soon.
Really, I will say because, like again, people like brought up this podcast to me, like people have been like saying things about you. So that I care about if people are saying not nice things about me. So even though I didn't listen to it, I knew of its existence. And I'm going to dove it. You must be like your profession must be something like with people because David was
a therapist. He's a therapist.
There you go. Like he was sweet talking me. He was saying all the right things. I was a little banged up on a plane. So I was like, you know what? Like, I don't even view it as like talking about softball. Let's just have a good time for an hour, whatever it is. So I appreciate the invite, and I can't promise that I'll come on again. Maybe if you get me in the right mood, but I enjoy it. Thank you.
Yeah, I definitely had a good time. It was definitely fun.
Thanks, Daniel. Thanks for coming on.
All right, thanks, Daniel.
Of course, Avi.